quite simply assassinated.
2 New York City police officers ambushed, shot and killed inside their patrol cars, leaving a city already dealing with its last tragedy on edge.
God bless America.
The law enforcement community in Louisville sending their prayers to those 2 families who lost loved ones just days before Christmas and remembering the scars of their own. Plus, a basket brawl leads to punishment for a U of L star. Wave 3 News starts right now.
Expect more right now. You're watching Wave 3 News.
In 24 hours, the lives of 3 police officers taken from their families. Thanks for joining us. I'm Myra Ansari. 1 killed in Florida this morning, 2 in New York City last night. Their deaths being mourned by people all across the country, including right here in Louisville. Wave 3 News reporter Natalia Martinez was at a vigil honoring the 2 ambushed in New York earlier tonight.
The event was advertised on Facebook late Saturday night, but within just a few hours, dozens of people showed up, many of them in uniform. They sang songs and lit candles and heard from one woman who lost her husband exactly 11 years ago. In front of the eternal flame at the law enforcement memorial, a vigil for 2 of their own.
It always breaks your heart because you put yourself back in that situation, and then you know what that family's going through.
For Melissa Patrick, the shooting deaths of New York City officers Wang Jianlu and Rafael Ramos brings back painful memories of the night her husband, Indiana State Trooper Scott Patrick, was killed.
He was gunned down when helping a motorist change his tires, so just a senseless act of violence that didn't need to happen.
The executive director of Supporting Heroes told the crowd it's time to speak up.
And it's up to people like us to stand up for law enforcement, to speak out on their behalf, to speak in their defense, and to say that we support them.
There are 800,000 sworn police officers in the U.S., according to the Department of Labor. The FOP's president believes the officers need to know their community and city leaders believe in them.
That message needs to be louder and clearer.
For this 20-year veteran police officer, the recent events have been hard to process.
It makes you angry, makes you really angry. You know, you see people march out in the streets basically saying vile and horrible things about, law enforcement, and then something like this happens.
The vigil, hoping to shed some light on how officers need the public to have their backs. The vigil was organized by Supporting Heroes. Organizers told me that they hope the community will continue to show law enforcement how much they appreciate and support them. In downtown Louisville, Natalia Martinez, Wave 3 News.
And meanwhile, in New York, more disturbing details about the events leading up to the deaths of those 2 officers. Investigators have traced the gunman's activities ahead of that ambush, including the moment he told pedestrians, quote, "Watch what I'm going to do." Now, outside the scene, a makeshift memorial. NBC's Stephanie Goss picks up the story from New York.
Investigators now believe 28-year-old suspect Ismail Brinsley was motivated, at least in part, by rage towards the police. Looking closely at Instagram messages they say were likely posted by Brinsley in the hours before the shooting. A photo of a silver gun and references to the deaths of both Eric Garner and Michael Brown. They take one of ours, let's take 2 of theirs. One hashtag reads, "Shoot the police." Brinsley, who killed himself after being chased by police, had at least 15 prior arrests, including a felony charge for weapons possession. Police say 40-year-old officer Rafael Ramos and 32-year-old officer Wenjin Liu didn't even see him coming.
They were quite simply assassinated, targeted for their uniform.
Ramos's 13-year-old son posted a message to his father on Facebook. Everyone says they hate cops, but they are the people that they call for help. I will always love you. The head of the police officers union in New York blamed protesters and weeks of demonstrations against heavy-handed police tactics.
There's blood on many hands tonight. Those that incited violence on the street under the guise of protest.
The union also holds New York Mayor Bill de Blasio responsible. Officers turned their backs to him Saturday night when he visited the families of the officers killed. In a statement, a spokesman for Mayor de Blasio said it's unfortunate that in a time of great tragedy, some would resort to irresponsible, overheated rhetoric. Today, former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani laid at least part of the blame at the feet of President Obama.
We've had 4 months of propaganda, starting with the president, that everybody should hate the police.
Brooklyn President Eric Adams is a former NYPD officer.
It's time for us to ensure the safety of the public and the police, and we do that by toning down our conversation.
Adams supports police reform, but is asking that the protests stop until both officers are buried, while Eric Garner's family is making a plea to their supporters.
We want you to not use Eric Garner's name for violence, because we are not about that. These two police officers lost their lives senselessly.
That is a sentiment at least most people in this city can agree on.
And another police officer killed in Florida this morning. 45-year-old Charles Kondak was a 17-year law enforcement veteran. A suspect shot and killed him in Tarpon Springs, Florida, then drove off and crashed in another part of town where he was arrested. No word on a motive for that shooting. We now know the names of all of the 4 people who died in incidents on the roadways in Louisville Saturday. The first accident on Lexington Road previously identified the driver as 22-year-old Nicholas Spaulding. He lost control of his car and crashed into a tree. Then later Saturday morning, 34-year-old Joshua Young Lee rear-ended a flatbed trailer on Westport Road and was pronounced dead at the scene. In the afternoon, 45-year-old Clarence Jones struck by a car and killed on Bardstown Road near Breckenridge Lane. And Saturday night, 61-year-old Padam Neopani also hit by a car. He died at Fakenbush Lane and Jet Thomas Drive. A man leads police on a high-speed chase across county lines. Now he's facing more than a dozen charges. Police say 25-year-old Terry West of Shelbyville left the scene of a robbery and assault, then led police on a pursuit on I-64 into Anderson County and ended outside of Lawrenceburg on State Highway 44. Police say they deployed a tire deflation device to stop West. He tried to run away, but Shelbyville police and Kentucky State Police were able to use a stun gun and arrest him. He faces at least 25 criminal charges ranging from speeding, domestic violence, assault, and second-degree robbery. Well, extra hours and Sunday delivery. Postal workers doing a bit of overtime this holiday season to make sure that your holiday gifts are delivered on time. Sunday deliveries of all types today for the first time ever, as Kentuckiana's post office officials say that they have to adjust as more shoppers begin to purchase presents online. Adjustments also including extended hours at the post office, open today from 11 to 4 in St. Matthews, Okolona, and Clarksville, and a big help to those running a little behind.
We just ordered some of this stuff Friday night.
Wow.
Almost midnight.
That's cutting it close.
And the Postal Service has been delivering Amazon packages on Sundays for more than a year. Last Sunday, they delivered more than 4.6 million Amazon packages across the country, more than triple than on the same Sunday last year. And for those who can't afford those holiday gifts this season, a gift in itself. St. Vincent de Paul held its annual Santa Shop Sunday, where parents in need are invited to come and choose free unwrapped Christmas gifts for their kids. More than 150 volunteers were on hand to help guests as they made their way through the gym looking for the perfect present. It's the first year the event has been held in the new Family Success Center, and according to the organizers, one of their best turnouts yet.
Donations have been great. They've come from different corporations around town, Toys for Tots, different parishes that donate stuff, and we've really had a lot. And we're going to have about 850 kids served, 350 families.
And this is the Santa Shop's 18th year in Louisville. A Christmas miracle pulled off in just a month. Take a look at all of these toys that were delivered to Cozier Children's Hospital Sunday. This is the first year an organization called Make a Child Smile collected toys, and the response was overwhelming.
They are going to go to the children on the oncology unit, and then I know that if they have some areas lacking in other areas, they can do so. So I just want them to go to the kids.
Great. More than 350 items were collected from surrounding communities. A U of L All-American receives his punishment after an all-out brawl in Saturday's game. But first, a race to test your speed, strength, and love of eggnog. Sound good, Andy?
It does. That's an interesting combination there. Well, we're past the midnight hour, so we are now into the Christmas week forecast, the weekday portion of it anyway. And we'll talk about that, our chances for precipitation, warmth, cold. We've got a little bit of everything coming up in weather next.